And look, there's a ton to try to digest here, so let's take you through this Game 2 highlight. Jurassic Park, the whole city on fire. Barack Obama in the building, saying hello to Drake beforehand. And once again, the fuse was lit early on by Spicy P. Go get it! Fred VanVleet, the alley-oop to Pascal Siakam. He throws it down. Siakam led the Raptors in transition points in Game 1, doing more of the same. And in the second, see Steph Curry looked a bit of a mess, left the floor for a bit, and they're down double figures. Keeping an eye on Curry, pulls, he's on the board. And then late in the first half, this is what Tim Legler was talking about. They let him step into that three, and all of a sudden, he's starting to find the range. Still a double-digit deficit. There's another three. This one from Clay. And Clay looked like Game 6 Clay. Had 18 in the first half. 8-point game. A little sloppy there, looking like maybe you're going to try to go for a 2-for-1. Instead, you get Curry on the other end. Curry with 10 in the final 4. 16 total at the half, and the Warriors were within 5. Kevin Durant still not on the floor with a little conversation in the tunnel. And here comes the Avalanche third quarter. Curry gets through the Lowry defense. Little floater off the window. Float game, Steve.
On point.
8-0 run. Good ball movement. Boogie Cousins out to Andre Iguodala. He always gets those threes. There's wide open. It's like he thinks about it. He's like, well, look, I can make this, and he does. Now it's the lead. This is what Tim was showing you, the action that they got to get the back door. To Draymond. Then Boogie, such a good passer, finds a cutting Clay. Suddenly, that lead of double digits in the first half is long gone, and before you know it, you're going to be down double digits. Clay, again, then he gives a little look to that Raptor bench, and this lead is growing, and by the time this run is done, it would be an 18-0 run, the longest by any team to start a half in the playoffs since 76-77. Fourth quarter, 8-point lead. Boogie, Clay goes down, and they've lost Durant. They've lost Iguodala for stretches. Obviously, they've lost Cousins for stretches, and they've lost Clay for the remainder of this game with a hamstring issue. Steve Kerr, if you heard him earlier on the show, said Clay told him he's fine. Kerr said, I don't know what that means. Well, hopefully that means he's fine if you're a Warriors fan. Here come the Raptors. A three from Lowry. A three from Green. Global ambassador cheering. There you see Quinn Cook waiting on that moment. Time came that I owned it. Once, how about twice? Yes, sir. DMB, stand up. Hitting huge shots as Clay leaves the floor with a limp. 8-point lead. There was about a 4-minute stretch where nobody could score at all. Kind of sloppy, kind of ugly. Also a whole lot of want to, a lot of effort on both ends. After the foul call, Steph was called for a technical for chucking the ball in the air. Second chance points, or at least looks. The Raptors had a ton of second chance shots. They make this one from Danny Green, and all of a sudden it's a 2-point game with a 10-0 run of their own. You're waiting to figure, all right, Steph's likely to get it. They're going to double him, and as he's doubled, it looks like he might lose it. That pass nearly stolen. Livingston, Iguodala, all by himself. Bang, as Mike Breen would say. What a hit. Boogie Cousins is going to join the show. Cool, he had a double-double. Good for him. Finals MVP buries that one. Nick Nurse, Raptors coach, on that final sequence. What happened? What were they trying to do? His thoughts. After Golden State evens this series and heads west. Here's the Raptors head coach. Last question here.
Nick, Mark Schwartz, ESPN. I'm wondering if you could take me through the final possession, especially the fact that Iguodala shot it with about 5 seconds left on the clock, and the fact that he was so wide open during that possession.
Yeah, I think, you know, we scored the basket, and look up and there's 26.4 or something left. That's a definite foul situation, right? They can hold it all the way to the end, throw it up there, hit the rim, and the horn's going to go off. I've been in that situation before. So usually under 28. If there's 28 or more, you're going to play solid defense. If it's 27.9 or under, you're not. We're trying to foul. We had a couple chances there on Draymond, I think Livingston, and then back to Draymond, and then Curry got it, and we didn't want to foul, but we put a good blitz on him, and we almost made him throw it away. And I think if they're going to take a shot and give you a chance there, I'm going to probably live with the one that ended up being taken. I'm going to probably roll with that. We should have fouled before that, but like I said, he misses that. We call timeout. We go down with a chance to win the ball game, unbelievably somehow.
Steph said after the game to Doris Burke that he thought it was, in his words, disrespectful to leave a player like Iguodala that wide open. What did you think of that?
Well, we weren't disrespecting anybody. We were up guarding hard, and we put 2 on Steph, and he almost threw it right to Kawhi, right? Just pretty good defense. You know, they were scrambling around, running around like crazy, but and they found Iggy, right? They found him. And like I said, if he's gonna take that and give us a chance to get the ball back and win the game, we're gonna probably live with that. It wasn't like we were disrespecting him and not trying to guard him. We were in a trap and rotating out of there. And again, I'd like to go back and try that again about 10 times and see if one of them doesn't go our way.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks a lot.
Confirm Warriors.
Stephen A. Smith joins us now. And Stephen A., I was talking to Paul Pierce a little earlier about how championship teams create an environment where role players know their role, they excel in the role, but when more is asked of them, they step forward in that role. And we certainly saw that tonight from Quinn Cook. Boogie Cousins, who I thought was done with that injury, was fantastic in this game. What did you make of their contribution to this Warriors victory?
Well, I got to tell you, I thought that DeMarcus Cousins was the MVP of the game. What he did in the second half was absolutely phenomenal. Seemingly every key rebound he got, he took over the point forward role from Draymond Green for a chunk of the second half and had about 5 or 6 assists. Then he finished with 11, 10, and 6. He was absolutely phenomenal, particularly considering the fact that he came back in Game 1 after a 14-game playoff absence, played less than 10 minutes that game, and then showed up tonight, was inserted into the starting lineup, and nearly played 28 minutes a game. So you got to get 28 minutes in Game 2, rather. So you got to give him loads of credit for that. Quinn Cook coming off the bench, scoring all 9 of his points on threes, including 2 key threes in the second half. You got to give them credit for that. McKinney hit a shot. Obviously, you look at it from that perspective. Andrew Bogut came in and hit all 3 of his shots in the 6 minutes that he played. You just can't say enough about them. You talk about a championship squad. Just watching their fluidity, moving without the ball, hitting the open man, finding guys for open layups, stuff like that. It was just a sensational performance by the team, and it was a sensational performance by Coach Steve Kerr because he knew who to put in. His timing seemed impeccable, and on top of it all, you can't give him more than enough credit for transitioning and going big, knowing that when you start Kevon Looney in Game 1 and he's going up against Gasol and Ibaka, even though he's supposed to be a big boy, he was relatively undersized, and their girth and mass was just too much for him and Draymond Green at intervals to deal with. But by putting Boogie Cousins in there tonight and then bringing Bogut off the bench, you have big bodies to go up against them. And those 2 individuals combined for 13 points for the game. They were relatively impotent offensively, and I think that had a big reason to do with why they lost Game 2.
You know what I'm impressed by, though, is that this Raptor team, they took that avalanche, and that buries many teams. They managed to absorb it, and they managed to get to a point where they very nearly had a chance to tie that game late. I just wonder, as confident as they were, Stephen A., winning 5 straight, how much does a night like this where they lose and not all of Golden State stars are on the floor, how much does that shake what they've created in terms of confidence? What's your sense of that?
Well, listen, it shakes it for some degree because when Golden State shows you that they can find a way to beat you and you're a team that struggled periodically anyway on the offensive side of the ball, that's problematic for you. The one thing they do have going for them is that Klay Thompson went down with a left hamstring injury. We know Kevon Looney had the collarbone injury. You don't know how healthy DeMarcus Cousins is going to stay, or Iguodala for that calf injury. So injuries are definitely on Toronto's side. We shall see. But based on the way Golden State played, if Golden State is healthy in any way, Toronto's in trouble.
Sure. I'm sure there'll be plenty to say tomorrow morning, Stephen A. Thanks for staying up late with me tonight. We'll see you tomorrow morning, okay?
Oh, you know that.
First Take, Stephen A. Check him out. All right, Boogie Cousins standing by, getting mic'd up after a phenomenal performance. Stephen A. just said it was MVP-type stuff. We will be speaking to him on the show as we continue.